Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott and today I'm showing you a great tip that will help your low poly landscapes and really speed up your workflow. If you like what I do, then make sure you check out my character course and my drawing course. There's discount links in the description. So this tip is all about using what used to be called the rock generator. It's now part of the extra mesh add-on, and I've used it in this scene for creating the trees, the rocks obviously, and the smoke. Now it seems fairly obvious, but there are a few things about this add-on to give you this nice low poly look, and there's other things in the add-on that you might be interested in. So first of all, we have to enable it. It does come with Blender, but it's not enabled, so let's go across to Edit, Preferences, click on Add-ons, and like I say, it's called Extra Objects. So start typing in Extra, and you'll get this Extra Objects option here. Just make sure that's ticked, and then close this down. Now we're going to go to Add an Object, so Shift A, or we can go up to the Add Object menu here, and press Mesh. I've got all these extra objects, which of course you can play with and find out about yourselves, but it also includes the rock generator here. So I'm just going to select everything and hide it for the moment, and Shift A to add Mesh Rock Generator, and I'll switch over to Material Preview mode so it's nice and easy on my rendering, and zoom in on this rock. So we've got all these options down the side here. I'll start off with one rock, and I'll just show you the sort of things you can do. You can obviously scale the rock, and it changes as you scale, which is kind of weird. It's got a sort of skew command, so you can distort the shape with that, and obviously the Y and Z scale as well. The deformation, you can kind of see that it distorts the shape. There's a roughness to make it more jaggedy. Level of detail, be careful because those are subdivisions, so if you turn those up too high, your computer will crash, and then you can smooth those out. So what I've done for my model is to give this 9 rocks, kept the scale the same, but I've brought the level of detail down to 1 and the display detail down to 1, because this is going to be for our low poly work, and we've got all our rocks on top of each other here. So I'll go to top view with 7 on my numpad and just grab these and move them about so we can see them all. So there's all our rocks. I have actually made them a bit sort of wide in the X, so I'll just select them all and I'll go into the transforms, individual origins and scale in the X. Make them a bit more rounder. I think that will work better. So at the moment they've got some sharp angles and some not so sharp. That's in the auto smooth option in object data properties. If we click on that, click on normals, you can see the auto smooth there. And if we turn that off, it only works on our active object. But if I press Alt whilst clicking, it will do it for all the selected objects. However, I'm not going to use that at all. I'm actually going to right click with all of them selected and shade flat, because I think that's the low poly look that I'm looking for. However, it's very uniform and blocky at the moment. So let's go to the modifiers and see what the rock generator has done. It's got 2 subdivision surface modifiers and 1, 2, 3, 4 displacement modifiers. So I'll go back up to the top, and for low poly work, I don't really want this modifier here. If I bring this down, you can see it's gone a bit more blocky, which is what I want. So I can get rid of that one by clicking on the cross. But how do I do that for the rest of the objects? Well, I can press Ctrl L and I can copy the modifiers off the active object. So the one highlighted yellow, and it's doing them for all of these objects now. What I'm going to do now is apply all these modifiers for every object. And to do that, I can go into here and apply with Ctrl A, or I can press Ctrl A and visual geometry to mesh. And that will do it for all of them. So none of them have a modifier on anymore. So if I don't like the shape of any of them, I can obviously go in and adapt them slightly. This one can be a little bit wider over here. And in fact, if I use the proportional editing tool, I can click and drag that and change the shape a bit more uniformly like this. This one looks a little bit odd, and that's fine. I've got a nice lovely set of rocks. However, if we look at them, they still are very sort of uniform looking, and they haven't got that sharp, jaggedy, low poly feel. If I select this one, for example, it's very sort of rounded, and it looks just like a subdivided cube really. So I can go up to the add modifiers and add a decimate modifier, bring that down a bit, and that gives it that nice sort of jaggedy look. Let's select every one and copy this decimate by pressing Ctrl L, copy modifiers. And then it's given them all that jaggedy look. I can then press Ctrl A, visual geometry to mesh, so that's applying the decimate modifier for every single one. This one might need a bit more of a decimate, I think, so add modifier decimate, bring that down, and it's got a bit more of a low poly feel now. And I can press Ctrl A over here to apply that modifier. Now I've got some lovely objects that I can add to my scene. So let's make this into a tree. I'll just grab them and pile them on top of each other like this. Let's go to front view now and start putting them as a sort of tree shape. So just pressing G to grab and moving them. Side view now and put them into a sort of tree shape from the side. And then just copy some, Shift D to duplicate and move them into position. Scale that one up a bit, rotate it around from this angle. And remember to sort of rotate them and scale them as you see fit. Needs to be a bit wider, so I can just select them all and back to the medium point, scale in the Y. And there I've got a sort of tree looking shape, which I quite like. Let's add a cylinder at the bottom, Shift A to add, mesh, and then cylinder. Again, this is low poly, so 7 is a good count for the vertices. Let's scale that down, put that into position here. Front view, side view, and into edit mode, I reckon, select those top verts and scale them in. Oh, let's do that in wireframe, so I select them all. Select them in wireframe, scale those down, and maybe add a loop cut with Control R and scale that down. Let's see how we're getting on. Got ourselves a funky looking tree. Then it's just a case of adding materials. I'll move these to a new collection so it doesn't get confused. So select them all, M, move to new collection, tree 2. I'll hide that for the time being and show you the trees I made earlier. The clouds are using the same technique, the rocks using the same technique. One handy thing with the rocks, if you select one, turn on snapping to faces, you can then Shift D to duplicate and move it around, rotate it, and it will snap to the top of your object. You can obviously put them on your objects with particle systems as well, but I just find this a bit easier and simpler just to snap them on like that. Okay, so that's the rock generator, part of the extra mesh tool add-on. Hope this tip was useful to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.